right, hey guys, about 200 miles into day 2. Just cooking along here, heading north. But as I get farther north, I notice, definitely a little more haze on the horizon because of a lot of the wildfires that are going on here in the west. And there's also, I know there's actually a wildfire just kicked off pretty close to where I'm going. So I'm going to have to assess that when I get there. I'm hoping it's not affecting my route to our retreat location. Because of the mountainous area it's in, that I have to travel through, you're kind of limited on alternate routes. So, definitely, like I said, still, thinking a lot about route recon stuff and, the importance of knowing what's in between you and your final location. You got to go from point A to point B, and A, you want to leave A because there's something there you don't like. It's, if your family's not safe or whatever, and you've got to get to B. Well, obviously, if it's a major event and power's wiped out everywhere, as EMP type event or whatever, moving via vehicle would probably be next to impossible, unless you pre-positioned a lot of supplies and your vehicle was not affected by that event. But minus, it's a major significant event like that, but more of a regional event or local event, and you're moving out, well, if there has been some service interruption, especially, cell service, which is, fairly fragile, we see it all the time, and, usually it's localized, but, when there's some sort of storm or event, natural event, cell communication is usually interrupted, and that can, interfere with, your getting status updates as you're going, so you're traveling along and you notice, some smoke, and you're like, well, maybe that storm, which a lot of storms have thunderstorms, lightning, it's caused, wildfires in between where you need to go. And, how are you going to figure out where they are and if they're going to affect your route, because, they'll come in and they'll close the roads down sometimes, major highways. In fact, I've been stuck in one of those and on my way from Western Oregon to Central Oregon years ago. It sat for hours and hours, and in fact, I think grand total we sat for about 5 hours before they finally opened the road back up, because they were doing the fire was basically burning up to the highway, and they were doing tanker drops. It's kind of cool to watch, but it also dramatically interfered with my vacation plans at the time. So thinking about that situation, how that it just reinforces how important communications are. And if you're not an amateur ham radio operator, you should be. And I'm saying this to myself too. I've been planning it for a long time, and it seems like every time I'm ready to start studying up and preparing to take the test, something happens, and it interferes with it. So I really need to put it at the top of my priority list. And this summer was kind of when I really planned on doing it, and summer was running out. So, and I've got a lot on my plate. So we'll see. And I guess maybe I should just put the goal out there before the end of the year. But even without a ham license, there is the potential, or not potential, you can monitor those frequencies via, shortwave and scanners, so on and so forth. So a lot of these, like here in Nevada, there's I've been listening to these podcasts or webcasts or whatever you want to call them of a prepper group up here. It's northern Nevada in the ham community, the amateur radio community, that are really devoted to, you know, getting information out there. So if you're monitoring, you know, and you know what frequencies to monitor because you've done some research prior to, you can monitor those frequencies as you're going through areas, and probably get some situation reports of, you know, from other ham operators or amateur radio operators, you know, from outlining areas about what's going on. Hey, there's a wildfire. It's moving, you know, from east to west. Looks like they're going to close the highway. You know, and then maybe you could start doing looking at your maps and looking for an alternate route. So, just like I said, just food for thought. Just to think about how I'm really focusing in on, you know, communications. I know there's a lot more to, you know, being prepared than that, but I would like to reinforce the fact that it is an extremely critical tool to helping you, you know, effectively accomplish your mission, and that's why the military, you know, spends so much time and money on having good communications. It's extremely important to, you know,